विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Verse 23. नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः। So this is a verse which proves the Atma cannot be destroyed by anything. That's what it wants to prove. Atma is indestructible. How can you say so? So that's what we are going to see. Of course, it has been told in other words, in different words by Bhagavan. Like I gave you yesterday, I told you that verse 16 and verse 20 both indicated that the Atma is Sat. What is Sat? Well, and then there is no absence of it, and it is not subject to negation because the existence is the nature of Atma. Well, what is subject to destruction will become non-existent. If Atma is basically has a nature of a self-existent, then definitely it is not going to destroy, and that's what has been told here. And also we have seen that Atma means Satyam. It's the reality is Satyam. And definitely in that case, it is not subject to negation also. That way also we can say from another standpoint, well, one which negates everything is not available for negation, cannot be negated. Otherwise, to negate the Atma, you need another Atma, definitely. And therefore, if you want to say that Atma is the one which has negated everything, now Atma itself is negated. Okay, no problem. Then who is negating the Atma now? So you have to bring another Atma. So that is how it is. Atma is not subject to negation. That's what we want to say. That is what it is meant by Sat. Or in terms of reality, if you want to say, it is called Satyam. It's an ontological term. Satyam means it indicates the reality. I mean, it is not subject to negation. Satyam means abadhitam. Abadhitam means not subject to negation. Well, if it is not subject to negation, then it cannot be destroyed also. We have seen that also. One which is and then the third thing is, from the third standpoint, well, what is subject to negation is always within the frame of the time, and therefore which is subject to time can be called asat, or it can be destroyed. Which is not subject to time, well, it is sat, that is the Atma. And we have seen that everything can be negated because it is time bound. Even if you don't negate, it is going to be, it will not be there. Therefore, whether you negate or whether it goes on its own, whatever, but it is time bound. And Atma is something which is not subject to time. How can you say? Because the time itself is dismissed by Atma. And therefore, time cannot dismiss Atma. Time is dismissed by Atma. And therefore, well, time dismisses everything in the creation. And that time is dismissed by the Atma. And therefore, Atma is timeless, we used to say also. And how can you say it is time is dismissed? Well, our own experience proves that. Deep sleep state, etc. proves even the time is negated, time is dismissed. Yet Atma is still there as a witness of a deep sleep state. And that is how, and of course time is objectified also. We can say that also. You are aware of the time, time is not aware of you. You objectify the time, time doesn't objectify you. Well, that way also, you are timeless. If you are timeless, well, definitely then you will not be subject to negation. And in that case, nothing can destroy. So, and then of course in the last verse, in verse 22, we have seen that just as one gives up the old clothes and takes a new one, the one who indwells in the body, etc., that deha, also, it gives up the old bodies and takes up a new one. It survives the death of the body. Well, if it survives the death of the body, basically it is not destroyed along with the body, and therefore it is indestructible. And that is, even if in terms of a jiva, etc., if you say, no problem. Well, jiva itself is negated. If you say jiva survives the death of the body, jiva also is negated. But jiva is not negated as such. Jivatvam is negated. And jiva basically, essentially, it is Atma alone. And therefore, there is no other consciousness other than Atma. And therefore, anything which appears, looks like a conscious being, well, definitely it depends upon ultimately Atma alone. And therefore, jiva or ahankara, whatever you say, is ultimately, in essence, it is Brahman. And that is how Vedanta always says, you are Brahman. Means you the one who considers yourself as a jiva is Brahman. So therefore, as such, jiva should not be destroyed. Jivatvam is superimposed upon the self. Well, that is to be negated because that is the notion. And therefore, that way the one who indwells in the body called Dehi, even if you take as a jiva, well, still it is the Atma alone, essentially. And therefore, it is, even jiva cannot be negated. Then where is the question of negating Atma? The notion I am jiva, etc. is negated. Jiva is not negated. Please understand this. Jiva is not negated. The notion I am jiva is negated. That's because it has, that notion has arisen out of the ignorance, self-ignorance. Self-ignorance only, the very first thing arises out of self-ignorance is ahankara or jiva, jivatvam, a sense of individuality. How can you say, Swamiji, that sense of individuality is the first notion arisen out of self-ignorance? Because as you get up in the morning, the very sense of individuality first arises. Then you become aware of the other things. You become aware of the time, you become aware of the space, that is a place where you are, or you become aware of all the objects. First, that I sense arises in you. And therefore, definitely, well, everything has resolved into ignorance in the deep sleep state. And from the ignorance, when you come out, well, the very first sense, first thing which arises is I sense. That is its individuality. You can call jiva, you can call ahankara, whatever. So ultimately, point is, that I notion, I am Jiva, etc., is negated, not the Jiva as such is negated. The notion I am Jiva is negated, well, and because I gain a knowledge, and therefore the same I now I say I am Brahman. Earlier I was saying I am Jiva, now I say I am Brahman. Earlier I was saying this is the snake. Now I am saying this is remains common. This is remains common. Same way I alone now say I am Brahman. So this is rope. Now this is snake. Earlier I said now say this is only rope. So snakeness has gone away from this. That's all. That was due to ignorance. It has gone. Now I say what is the reality, that is this is rope. Same way I am Jiva, well, that is notion. That notion goes away, and same I is looked upon now with the help of knowledge, with the help of Upanishad, etc., with the help of Mahavakya. I say I am Brahman. So this is how it is. And so in any case, either you say Jiva, either you say Atma, whatever you say, it is not available for negation. And then same point was also made by Bhagavan in verse 19 also, by saying Nayam Hanti na Hanyate, where Atma is not object of any act of destruction. Nayam Hanti, it is not available. Na Hanyate means it doesn't become an object of destruction by anybody. So it is neither, of course it is told, it is neither a performer of action of killing, etc. At the same time it doesn't become an object of anyone's killing also. So Atma is not subject to negation, and because it is not subject to destruction. Now we will have to see the nature of Atma is such by which we can definitely say Atma cannot be destroyed. So in the present verse, Bhagavan mentions a few methods of course, destruction, by which none of which affect the Atma. At first he talks about a weapon. Weapon basically means a metal. Metal means earth. So we can take it that this is earth element. So we can say let's put it a weapon as such. And so says Nainam Chindanti Shastrani. These weapons cannot slay the Atma. And weapons I have told you also yesterday of two types. Then here it has been mentioned as a Shastram. Other than Shastram which can kill a human being is Astram also. Astram and Shastram. Both types of weapons are there. And therefore Astram which is thrown to kill somebody, and Shastram is which you keep in hand and kill somebody. Well, both the kinds, by Shastram you have to include even Astram also. This Shastram is called Upalakshanam. Upalakshanam means it's an indicator to include the same kind of members of the other family members you have to include. So Shastram and Astram, they are basically brothers. Brothers means the same family. Well, and therefore when it is said Shastram, you should also include Astram. Like when they say about one element, yesterday I have given you an example of the Brahma Sutra that Tejaha Parasyam Devatayam, as you know, say Pranaha Tejasi. The prana resolves into the fire element. Well, then only fire element, no, you take all the other elements also. That is how it is. So you have to include the other members of the same group. And so one is just a representation. One is, it's a representative, and other members you have to include. That is called Upalakshanam. Upalakshanam means it's an indicator to include the other members of the same family. Anyway, so here by Shastram we can take Astram also. And so, with reference to weapons, well, Atma does not subject itself to any type of objectification, which is available for objectification. Then only you can destroy. When you want to destroy, the object should be there, and therefore Atma should have should have a status to become an object of something, object of killing here, object of action, and therefore Atma does not subject itself to any type of objectification. Why? Because Atma objectifies everything. Without Atma, nothing is revealed. Without Atma, nothing is revealed. So which objectifies everything cannot be objectified by anything. That's our rule. Just like you can take the same way, that which negates everything cannot be negated by anything. And the same way, which objectifies everything cannot be objectified by anything. Same thing. And therefore, Atma, that is myself, objectifies the whole world. If you just think of that, if consciousness is not there, what will you prove in the world? What will you prove? Anything you want to prove, anything becomes evident, anything is existent. Well, definitely you need first the Atma. So without Atma you cannot objectify anything. Neither you can prove existence of anything, neither anything shines, neither anything becomes evident to you. And therefore Atma is something which objectifies it, including time and space. Unless you are aware of the time, how can the time exist? Unless you are aware of the space, how can space exist? No, Swamiji, space exists without me. Prove it, no problem. Prove it. I am not there, and space is there. You will get a spondylitis, nothing else. Swamiji, if the body is not there, you imagine, Swamiji, suppose there is a pandemic, very strong pandemic in which everyone dies. Okay, everyone dies. Swamiji, I also will die. Okay, to prove that including you, everyone dies, something has to be existent to say that. How will you prove the non-existence of consciousness? Try it. Try hard, I'm saying. Any evidence you show me by which you say no, consciousness is not. Even to say there is no consciousness, you need consciousness. What will you do? And therefore, for consciousness, everything is an object. Well, therefore, Atma, or that is myself. When I am saying Atma means, now don't think that if you include this body, this is not going to be appreciated. I am telling you very frankly. When you consider this again, Atma means the self. And if you are going to include the body, my sentences will just remain in vain. It will be in vain. I am just consciousness, that's all. But Swamiji, somebody asked me other day, Swamiji, but whenever you say, I feel that, yeah, it's okay, I am consciousness, but later I negate that. You say it is a fact for you, but it is not a fact for me. He told very blankly to me, it is not a fact for me, Swamiji. What should be done? What should be done? Suppose if I keep on negating that I am not this Brahman, I am not limitless existence, or I am not limitless consciousness, I am not self-existent. In which manner I can imbibe this knowledge? Well, as if you are knowing that you are Brahman. Keep repeating it. That is called Nirguna Brahma Upasana. Well, Vidyaranya talks about it in chapter 9 of Panchadashi. Do this Upasana. Keep doing. Just tell yourself that I am self-existent, I am limitless consciousness, I am the substratum of the creation, I am essence of everything, all the forms belong to me. Keep saying it, no problem. That's called Nirguna Brahma Upasana. And well, this bhavana will turn into knowledge, because you have a knowledge, but because of some obstruction you used to negate it. That's an obstruction. Even if suppose something is a reality and you are pursuing the reality and yet you negate that reality, there is obstruction. So therefore, definitely to remove the obstruction, Upasana is the only means here. And therefore, Vidyaranya gave a very beautiful description of a Nirguna Brahma Upasana. Well, in otherwise it is not possible to do Nirguna Brahma Upasana, but he justifies, and in saying this kind of a repetition during a daytime, that I am this, I am the subject which is never available for objectification. I am the one who negates everything which is not available for negation. I am the one who objectifies everything. I am the one who reveals the time. I am the one who reveals the space. I am the one who reveals all the objects. I am the revealer of the world. Well, world cannot affect me, because what is revealed is definitely have a less reality compared to the one which reveals it. And therefore, these are the crux. This is the crux of the Vedanta. And so don't move in the periphery of the Vedanta. Come to the center of it. This is what we have to. This is what we have to repeat, even though it doesn't make a sense for you. Even though your mind pushes you that no, remove this kind of a thoughts. Well, that obstruction is from the previous lives. Because of some karma, etc., that obstruction is there. And this kind of upasana, ultimately, Nirgun Brahma is nothing but a Paramatma. This is upasana of a Paramatma. Well, that will remove the obstruction. That is how Vidyaranya established very beautifully in chapter 9 of Panchadashi. Anyway, so the world does not reveal itself to you unless you objectify it. And so, well, then Atma cannot be objectified by anything. Unless it is an object in front of you, how are you going to kill it? You want to kill somebody, but that person is not there, suppose. If the object is not there, you are the subject, you are the killer, suppose. But object itself is not there. Then where is the question of destruction? And therefore Atma is not available to be an object of any action, much less destruction. Therefore, there is no question of a destruction. Now let's go further. So what is objectified is not going to objectify the objectifier, because everything else shines after Atma. There is only one source of consciousness, well, and that is Atma, and everything else is an object of consciousness. We have seen that also in the morning class, before few class, while we were discussing Satchidananda, we have seen everything is an object of consciousness. Including your mind is an object of consciousness. Your senses, object of consciousness. The body, object of consciousness. Prana, object of consciousness. Ignorance, object of consciousness. Knowledge, object of consciousness. Knowledge means pertaining to the intellect. Object of consciousness. Everything is object of consciousness. And therefore, well, if everything is an object of consciousness, and then any object of consciousness, how it is going to destroy the consciousness? How? Itself is an object of consciousness. Well, how it is that object is going to destroy the consciousness? And therefore, definitely, there are many ways we can see. Consciousness has no form. Well, I'm going to come to the point also, well, which has no form. How will you destroy it? When you say I destroy something, you are going to destroy some form. Either you convert, well, we'll wait for that. Anyway, so this is the thing. Atma is one because of which we are aware of everything, and it is the subject of every object. Since Atma is not subject to objectification, it is not subject to any type of action, including the destruction, killing. So weapons do not slay the Atma. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Now, there are, we'll remove the possibilities. Sometimes it happens that, these weapons do not slay, but they can be burnt through the fire. I give you an example. You know what happens in forest, sometime in a very thick forest, like Amazon or something. If there are very thick forest and the people, of course there are some people, tribals, etc., they stay there, and when the rain falls, etc., even through the road they go. Road means just whatever the way they are going and coming. Well, definitely that way also gets ambushed by all these trees, etc. And suppose it is a 1 kilometer, they every day, suppose they go to a river, and that is blocked by all the trees, because grow so much in monsoon. What they do, they cannot kill all the trees. It's very difficult. So they just burn it. So sometimes the trees which they don't want to cut, or they are not able to cut, well, then instead of cutting, they burn that. Most of the forest fires are done by the indwellers of the forest only. And so Nainam dahati pavakaha. So if the weapons do not kill, then fire can burn something. Well, Atma is something which is not available for even, Atma cannot be burnt by the fire. But Swamiji, this body which is kept on for the funeral, they kept on the pyre. Well, it is, that gets destroyed, but the body itself is an object of a consciousness or Atma, and therefore I am not the body, and therefore let it get burnt, I am not burnt. But Swamiji, when suppose in India it happens sometimes the person is burnt alive. Well, in that case, Atma will be burnt or not? No, then also it will not be burnt. Even the subtle body is not available for burning. Where is the question of Atma? The cause itself is so subtle. Subtle bodies cause ultimately, let us say, Atma. Then even if subtle body cannot be burnt, then where is the question of Atma getting burnt? And therefore, it is not available for burning. And so that is how say, Nainam dahati pavakaha. These are fire also cannot burn. Enam means this Atma cannot be burned by this. Nacha enam kledayanti apaha. Well, there are certain things which cannot be cut, which cannot be burnt, but if you put in water, disintegrates. And that is, like our gram dal or something, chana we call. You soak in in the water, and if you keep it as it is, in beginning it will flow, little bloat, and slowly they disintegrate into powder. So water has the capacity, to disintegrate the particular object. So let's say, like shastrani, weapons do not cut this seeds, etc. And you cannot be burnt also. But then definitely there are objects which can be disintegrated, destroyed by water. There are many things which can be destroyed. I am just giving you one example. So same way, whether this Atma can be drowned or not. No, Atma cannot be made wet. Again, subtle body itself cannot become wet by water. Where is the question of drowning? So subtle body cannot be made wet, then where is the question of Atma getting wet? And so Atma cannot be drowned. Of course, Jains believe that you take food and water and everything, and the body, its dimension increases. Therefore, even Atma's dimension also increases. And they give a very funny argument. They say, suppose you have, earlier the body was say 3 feet, when he was too young, 3 feet. Now he has become 6 feet, and he is 200 pounds or something, and he has so much of big volume. Then Atma also has to expand like that. Why do you say so? Because if Atma does not expand, and Atma is a consciousness, then it has, if a 3 feet body has a 3 feet Atma, then suppose it becomes a 6 feet, and if Atma also does not expand, Atma will have only awareness of the 3 feet body. It cannot be aware of the 6 feet body. And therefore, as the body expands, Atma also expands. That's how they say. Well, it is, funny argument they are doing. Anyway, we have discussed this particular point of view in the verse 12 or 13. We have discussed this. So they are called Madhyama Parimanavadis. So they believe that Atma is not even chota. Atma is not like of anu, size of an atom, or Atma cannot be all pervading. Atma is the size of the body. That's how they believe. Anyway, so Atma is not subject to even a drowning also. So it cannot be destroyed through water. Na shoshayati marutaha. This marutaha, as such, marutaha means a very hot air. Generally in tropical countries, it is very hot air. Now in summer it will start. And such a kind of a hot air used to dehydrate everything. Used to dry all the things. In Bhagavatam it is said, Vayuna hridgandha buhu salilatvaya kalpate. So in air there is one typical I mean, Vayu has a tremendous power compared to the earth, water and fire. What happens is Vayu has a capacity to destroy all these three elements. That's how they say at the time of a pralaya, basically, ultimately, all these three elements resolves into Vayu. How? So they say, Vayuna hridgandaha bhuhu salilatvaya kalpate. This is in Bhagavatam. So Vayuna, by the Vayu, hridgandaha bhuhu. The earth, which bhuhu means earth, hridgandaha. This Vayu blows in such a way that it takes away the smell from the Prithvi. And smell is an attribute of the Prithvi, earth. If it doesn't remain there, then Prithvi also doesn't remain. Prithvi means the earth becomes water. When the Vayu takes away the smell from the earth, then the earth becomes water, because that's the additional quality. That's the only additional quality in the water. That is a smell, and that is how it converts to earth. You know, water has how many qualities? You can say water has a taste, then touch, then it has some form, and it has a shabda also. All the four are there. It has some sound also. Now that gandha, that smell, if you add, the water turns to earth. So if Vayu takes away, air takes away the smell from the water, from the earth again turns to, because that's a fifth quality which has gone. Now it possesses only four qualities. Means this Prithvi or the earth merges into the water. And at the time of pralaya. And then what happens? Then water also is dried up with a blow of this air. And then definitely, when it blows off, then it merges into fire, and then fire also is extinguished by this air. And so this way, all the three elements at the time of pralaya, all these three elements, and the made up of all three elements, all this ultimately all made up of five elements, but as such we say that these three elements which are very basic, well, they also are destroyed by this Vayu. So if shastrani, weapons do not kill a person, fire cannot burn it, and waters cannot drown it, well, ultimately the air can destroy Atma. Well, that is not possible. That is also not possible. We'll see that. We are seeing also that's not possible. So, na shoshayati marutah. Bhagavan says no, even this marutah, the hot air, etc., cannot dehydrate the Atma, cannot destroy the Atma. Now, we'll see we have seen, of course, in the Tattvabodha, the five element model we have seen. So, we have seen this, the entire creation and this body basically are all made up of five elements. And not only this physical body, the subtle body also is made up of these five basic elements, and they underwent some grossification, fivefold grossification, and that is how you got a physical world. So physical body comprises of five gross elements, and we have seen it occupies the akasha, definitely some part, and therefore it has a space, and there is a space inside also. That is how even the sound comes out of it. It contains a Vayu, air also, oxygen being present, of course. Wherever there is a blood, there is oxygen, and therefore in the entire body, of course, the air is there. Body has Agni also, the temperature, etc., or heat. It has a particular specific temperature, 37 degree centigrade, etc., or 98 degree Fahrenheit for in your language. Or it has a shape due to apaha. This particular shape is due to water. When water recedes from the body, it shrinks. That's how it is said. Like anything which has a shape, if you keep it for some time, it shrinks. Then you should understand the water part is evaporating. Water is evaporating from that. So it has a part or a composition. Water also is there, and that's how it has a shape. And the body contains some same minerals of earth. Same minerals. Well, the quantity, etc., the percentage varies, but the same minerals are there. And Prithvi has, even our earth has a calcium and carbon and magnesium and iron and everything. This also has this. And therefore, the earth element also is there. Same way, like the physical body, physical universe also, you can describe in many ways, but we can take the element model, which I have told you. Upanishadic model is this element model. Biologist model is a different model. And chemist model is definitely a different model. They all look upon this world, physical world, in a different way. Well, we discussed this also. So the physical universe can be defined in many ways, but this element model is very simple for our understanding. And so each of the, elements enjoy, and the physical world also has this all 5 elements. These are here also 5 elements. Then they belong to the same order of reality. The physical world and this physical body, they have the same degree of reality. And so whatever the degree of reality Akasha has, same degree of reality other elements also has. And that is why when they enjoy same degree of realities, then they can affect each other. That's how objects belonging to the same degree of reality can affect each other. So one physical body can definitely affect another physical body because of the same degree of reality, because the same elements are there. Here also 5 elements, here also 5 elements. So whatever the degree of reality of elements are there in one body, definitely here also it is made up the same, and therefore one physical body can affect another physical body. Or a body and a weapon, of course, same degree of reality, and so both are physical objects only, and therefore they also have a same degree of reality. Then the weapon can hit the body, kill the body, etc., injure the body, or destroy it, etc. But suppose you want to destroy a physical body with the shadow of another physical body, not other physical body, but the shadow of the other physical body. Well, that's not possible. That is not possible, because the shadow, even though the shadow is of the physical body, well, it belongs to the different degree of reality. So one physical body can kill another physical body, but the shadow of the one physical body cannot kill the other physical body, because it belongs to the different degree of reality. And therefore, it's incapable of destroying each other either. Even this physical body cannot destroy the shadow also. Please understand that. The shadow cannot destroy this. Therefore, but the physical body can destroy it. No, that is also not possible. And therefore, and so object, and we otherwise also, I have told you this, when we were talking about waking state and dream state, etc. So the dream tiger cannot destroy this body. Definitely not. A waking body, this gross body, you can understand anyway, because the degree of realities are different. So you suppose a dog is a nuisance. I should not say. Somebody told me, Swamiji, don't talk about dog here in this US. Otherwise, nobody will be there to listen to you. So let's drop it. Anyway, but suppose a tiger is there and it is chasing you and you want to kill. And you don't see, instead of a rock, in a daylight, there is the shadow of a rock is there. And you thought a shadow of a rock can kill that tiger. That's not possible. That's not possible. This is an example to make you understand that the physical world and the physical body have a same degree of reality, and therefore physical body can be destroyed by the weapons or by any other thing, by fire, etc., by water, by air, etc. It can be killed, but not the Atma, because it is of a different degree of reality. Now that we have to understand. Now, before I go into the reality of what is the reality of the Atma, one more point I want to say, that objects belonging to the same order of a reality also need not destroy each other, need not affect each other. That is also there, like the space, right? And I have told you the space is order, whatever the order of a reality of a space has the order of reality, fire, etc., water and air, everything. But still space, for example, even though it belongs to the same order of reality of the other four elements, but is not affected by or destroyed by any of the four elements. Air cannot dehydrate the space, fire cannot burn it, and water cannot drown it. And nor can you take a sword and you put do like this, swing in the air. I mean, swing in the space, not air, swing in the space. Then, well, stay space still. Somebody has come. I'm very late. Anyway, so space. So space is not going to be destroyed by whatever the sword you swing in the air, and I mean in the space. It is not going. Or you do a bombing. Suppose a bomb. There is a bombing. Well, space is not going to destroy. If you do a shooting, well, the person gets killed, but nothing happens to space. So even space cannot be polluted. There is air pollution, atmosphere pollution. You can tell space cannot be polluted. Also, there is nothing called space pollution. They definitely talk about in this big United Nations and all. They talk about this pollution. That they always talk about atmospheric pollution, etc. There is no space pollution. So you can understand, even though the same order of a reality, it is going to reveal something about Atma. Even though it is of the same order of a reality, all the five elements are of the same order of a reality, still all these four elements cannot destroy this fifth element. Nothing. And so, why? Now your question will be, why? Very simple reason is, space has no form. That's all. Very simple answer. Space has no form. Anything which has a form will be destroyed. Whether you destroy it or not, time will destroy it. Anything which has a form will be destroyed. Right? And therefore, so space has no form. Now come to the second element, air. I told you, suppose if, I think you remember it. I told you that air, even though it is not visible, still it has a form. It has a form. It's not visible, but it has a form. Gross air, but after grossification. I'm not talking about that subtle element air. But after grossification, I mean what you feel with the sense of touch. That air has a form. Has a form. Even so, what I mean, when we are discussing the gross body, I have given you the example of air. Even though air is not visible as such, that's because it doesn't have a rupam, etc. Still, it has a form, and it is considered gross. And air, on the other hand, can be destroyed. Because you can change its form. Like, I give you an example. This example, I think this is an experiment we have done also, perhaps in physics laboratory. They take one, like hydrogen and oxygen. Both are basically gases. And when they mix together, definitely both get destroyed. Both affect each other. And you will get water. You will get water. Water, that's how one air is basically affected by air itself. Other gas. One gas is affected by other gas. And therefore, but Swamiji, I am not able to digest what you are saying. Sometimes you look very funny in this kind of thing. Because, see, we have to go through some models. We definitely take help of science to the extent. If scientist wants to cross the boundary and enter into Vedanta, we say, please be there, because you will be confused when you come here. But we can definitely take help of science. That is how Vedantis take help of everything. Vedantis take help of certain principles of a Mimamsa, certain principles of a Nyaya. Everywhere they move around. And still they establish their own principle. That is how it is. That is the smartness of the Vedanti. Because he has a view. These all people have a point of view. Like an elephant. Vedanti knows the entire elephant. And all other people are like blind people. So when you are blind, you don't know the whole elephant, and so you consider a part of it. Wherever you touch, you accordingly you say the elephant is like this. One takes one touches the trunk, so he says elephant is like a trunk of the tree, and therefore somebody says like a wall, and somebody says something like other thing. And so I mean, what I am saying is Vedantis has a view of everything, view of oneself, view of the creation, view of the Ishvara, and therefore he is able to take any point of view and explain. And that is how, see, even though air doesn't look like it has a form, but definitely air implies atoms, correct? Hydrogen, when I say, it implies atoms. Atom implies a structure, and the structure is something which can be changed into a new structure. And therefore, this we have learnt. I mean, in the physics, everybody has learned. I would not have taken a physics as a major or something, but then definitely we all have learned this. So if hydrogen and oxygen, etc., are brought together, in certain way water is created, because any structure, gas has a structure, and because it has atom and it has a structure, and it can always change. It can become entirely different. Even the metals can be converted to another metal simply by changing the atomic weight. And that's how gold can be made. From a simple metal you can make a gold. But that's a very, very expensive process, and therefore they have given up. It's not economically viable. Otherwise you can change the atomic weight. That's how they are doing. They are converting one metal, they are converting one metal to other metal. They are doing this. And it has become very helpful in radioactive radioactivity, etc. That field, they definitely convert these metals. Anyway, whatever it is, what I am saying is, whatever has a structure definitely can be changed. And it has, because it has atoms, and therefore it has a certain form. Anyway, so the word death, etc., the destruction means the death, etc., applies to a particular structure that no longer exists, and so because it has been changed into some way. That's how we were describing death from the beginning, that death is nothing but in that particular form it is not visible. That's called death. That is how Panini has seen before 3000 years. When he made that root nash, from that the word nasha has come. Nasha means destruction, and it has been made from the root nash. And he gave the meaning of nash means adarshane. Adarshanam means not available in that particular form. That's all. And therefore, destruction of any object is nothing but changing the form of that object from that form to other form. That's all. Even the destruction of the body is nothing but basically converting this form into a ash. That's all. Another form. That's how it is. Changing this structure into another structure. That's how it is. And therefore, and whatever water is there, well, that water also changes its structure. It becomes gas. And this earth in this form turns to another form. And fire in this form, well, it goes into another form. That is how it is. The form changes. That's all the destruction is. So that applies a particular structure that no longer exists because it has been changed in some way. And this Bhashyakara has given the argument here in this verse. Bhashyakara argues that anything, very beautifully, I don't know how, he is a Nobel laureate. Bhashyakara was a Nobel laureate. What he says, you see, he says anything that has a limbs, or attributes, or structure can be destroyed. Means can be converted into other form. So space having none of this, he says, space having no limbs, space having no attributes, space having no structure cannot be destroyed. After the space, whatever is there has either limbs or has some attributes or structure. Air has a structure. It may be hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, whatever you say. The atomic structure starts from the air. That's all. Space has no atomic structure. And therefore, definitely that structure can be changed with the help of either a gas, other gas, or with the help of water, or with the help of a fire. Fire can change the structure. Everything is possible. And therefore, Bhashyakara's argument is why space cannot be destroyed? Because we said space has no form. Then we said that, well, air has a form. Then you had a question. Then I said air has a certain form because it has some structure, because it has some atoms. So it has a structure. And whatever has a structure can be changed into another structure. That's what physics people are doing anyway. This is just by the way. So space having none of this cannot be destroyed even by the elements that share the same order of reality. I mean the other elements are there. Well, now come to Atma. So we have given the example of space, but space and Atma's exam, in certain aspect only space matches with the Atma in terms of all pervasiveness, etc. Well, space is not all pervasive, but we consider that way. Space is not all pervasive, keeping this thing in mind, because other than space, 4 elements are there. They have their own contribution here. Therefore, space is all pervasive, then there is no other element other than the space. But there are other elements, and therefore we have to count for other elements, and therefore space is not all pervasive. Anyway, but now let's talk about Atma. Why we gave example of a space is because of this. Atma also is free from limbs, free from attributes, free from structure. Because anything which has a limbs, anything which has attributes, anything which has a structure is object of consciousness. And therefore, I am pure consciousness. I am aware of everything, including all the thoughts. Why, Swami, you brought thoughts here now? Well, you objectify the entire world, having limbs, structure, attributes, everything. By what? You objectify the world, which consists of structure or limbs or even attributes. By what? By thoughts. Without thoughts, you cannot objectify anything. So basically, Atma is one which objectify the thoughts, and thoughts objectify the world. And therefore, here even it is unlike space. In the case of a space, well, it doesn't have a limbs, attributes or a structure, and therefore the other elements, even though they belong to the same order of reality, cannot affect the space. Well, Atma is basically free from the limbs, attributes and structure, and definitely it has a higher reality compared to the objective world. It has higher reality. It is unlike space. Space and the other elements or the physical world have a same degree of reality, still space is not affected. Then Atma, which is of a higher order of reality, well, and the physical world definitely, which can be objectified by the even thoughts, etc., well, it has a lower order of reality. Atma objectifies the thoughts, and I mean Atma objectifies. What is this Atma objectifies? Atma is one because of which the thoughts are revealed. All thoughts are revealed because of Atma, and then thoughts reveal the world. So this consciousness or Atma, well, cannot be destroyed by any part of the physical world, because it cannot objectify the Atma. Basically, thoughts objectify the physical world, and thought is objectified by Atma. Atma reveals the thought reveals the objects, and therefore definitely Atma is of a higher order of a reality, and therefore nothing can get this Atma. Nothing else belongs to the same order of reality. Now I will explain you that part little more. See, Atma is basically Satyam, and so Atma, Satyam is what? Which is timeless. Atma is self-evident and everything else is evident to the self, including the thought. Thought is evident to the consciousness. Not consciousness is evident to the thought. Could you follow what I am saying? Thought is evident to the consciousness. Consciousness is one which reveals the thought. Consciousness is one which reveals the thought, and thought reveals the objects, and therefore consciousness is Satyam. Atma is basically self-shining and everything else shines after the Atma. The one that shines on its own is Atma, that is Satyam, and therefore one shines on its own, then definitely that thing doesn't require any evidence for the existence, and therefore what is self-evident is a self-existent thing. Well, I will give you an example of a sun now. Well, sun is self-revealing. Okay, sun is self-revealing. Everything is revealed by the light of the sun. Now forget about our eyes, etc. Right now, don't go further. Just take this physical world and the sun. Sun is self-revealing and everything is revealed in the sun. Right? That is how it is. And what is self-revealing is self-existent. Suppose if this world is not revealed by the sunlight, how will you know it exists? Just take that example in a limited way. How will you, suppose this world is not revealed by sunlight, like a darkness, how will you know an object is there? Okay, so object existence is proved by the revelation of the sunlight. But the sun is revealed by what? Sun is revealed by itself. Sun is self-revealing. If it is self-revealing, it is self-existent. It doesn't require any other means of knowledge to prove its existence. See, what is self-evident or self-shining or self-revealing is one thing alone. What it means is, you don't require any means of knowledge to prove the existence of that thing. So, sun does not require any other means of knowledge to prove the existence of itself. And therefore, sun is self-revealing. Well, everything in the creation requires sunlight to reveal and thereby to prove the existence. But Swamiji, eyes don't go further. I am telling you, just take this example in a limited way. Eyes reveal Swamiji sun, therefore sun is not self-revealing. Yes, we know. We have already discussed this thing. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. We have done all this thing. I am not saying, just take a physical world and sun. What is self-revealing and what is revealed by sun? You take in that way. What is proved, what's existence is proved and what's existence is self-existence. You have to take in that way. So what is self-evident is self-existent and depending on nothing for its existence, whereas what is not self-evident is not self-existent and depends entirely upon that thing which is self-existent, right? So the world's existence as though depends upon the existence of the sun, and the existence of the sun is existence of the sun is proven by itself. It is self-existent. How do you say it is self-existent? Because it is self-evident. It is self-revealing. What is self-revealing need not be proved by any means of knowledge that it is there. It is there. It is there. You need not. Because it is self-revealing. And therefore, what is self-evident is definitely self-existent, and what is not self-evident is not self-existent. Depends entirely upon that which is self-existent. Come to Atma now. Atma is self-evident. You know very well, Atma is self-evident. I mean, to say I am, you don't require any means of knowledge. Any means of knowledge. Without even perception, you say I am. Without inference, you say I am. Without any example, illustration, you say I am. Without any words, you say I am. Because these are the means of knowledge. Without any knowledge of absence, you say I am. Even to prove absence, you require I am. And therefore, all the means of knowledge, well, nothing of the 6 means of knowledge, no means of knowledge is required to prove the existence of the self. So I say, I am self-evident and everything is evident to the self. Thought is evident to the self. Entire objective world, it is evident to the thought is evident to the self, and therefore I am self-evident, self-existent. And everything which is evident to the self is, its existence is dependent upon the self-existent me. So I am Satyam, and the creation, this physical world, everything is mithya or asat. I am the sat, that is asat. Why you are discussing all this? Asat, which is of a lower order of a reality, cannot affect the sat atma. And therefore, everything, and we are going to discuss also tomorrow a little bit further, all elements etc. also fall in the same category. Entire physical world, when I say it's through the elemental model, this is just the 5 elements only, nothing else is there. So any part of the physical world cannot affect Atma because it's of a higher order of a reality. Like a shadow cannot affect the physical body. Shadow of a physical body cannot affect the body. Shadow is of a lower order of a reality. Well, physical body is of a different degree of reality, higher order of a reality compared to the shadow, and therefore it cannot affect. So one has to know oneself that I am basically a self-existent, self-evident consciousness. And then, then any part of the physical world, including a weapons or water or air or fire, anything cannot affect me. That's how it is. We'll see tomorrow now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.